Okay, we're gonna do our second video today, and last time we talked about connecting lace to Entredeux. Today we're gonna do Entredeux to fabric. I just have an example of a dress here, just kind of showing when we put our lace bands in, when we have the lace going to the fabric, we're gonna have Entredeux. You can see it in between there. And then we even have used it here to connect the sleeves, so that would be fabric to fabric, and connect the yoke. This is a triple Entredeux is what we call this. So we're just going to talk about how to do that today. You can use, for the first step, we can use our S foot again. We talked about this last video, but this has a guide, little black blade right down the middle of the foot, and that can help you when we're stitching the Entredeux to the fabric, just to keep it right in the right spot. Again, I'm going to use my fine thread. I have a 60 weight fine cotton thread, and then I have my fine needle. It's a 60/8 size needle, and that is just the size that we use for fine laces and fine fabrics. So those are the supplies that we have. And then I'll show you the first step. This is my Janome 9480. For the first step to do Entredeux to fabric, I'm just going to do a regular straight stitch. So on this machine, the settings is just 4.5 width. It's a straight stitch, so there's no width. 4.5 is just down the middle of my needle plate. And then 2.4 length is just a basic straight stitch. Okay, so I'm going to take my Entredeux and my fabric and put right sides together first to stitch them together. On the Entredeux, it's very hard to tell, but see, you can see those little like knots right there. That's the back of the Entredeux. So I'm gonna put the right sides together with my fabric and Entredeux, and line up my raw edges like this. Of course, you can pin it if that helps you to hold it in place. So I'm going to put my Entredeux right up next to this black blade on my foot. If you don't have this foot and are just using a regular A foot or zigzag foot, you just want your needle to come down right beside the Entredeux. So once I have that on and have my needle right beside my Entredeux, I will just straight stitch. Okay, as I'm stitching, I'm just keeping this blade right on the edge of the Entredeux. Again, if you don't have this foot, you just want to make sure your needle is coming down right up next to the Entredeux, stitching as close as you can get without going into it. Okay, so you can see, if you can see maybe, my stitching is right up beside the edge of the Entredeux. Okay, next we are going to trim off that extra fabric on the side of the Entredeux. You want to trim it down to about 1/8 of an inch. I think one thing people sometimes do is trim it too small, and there's not enough fabric to actually roll and whip, which is our next step. So make sure you leave enough fabric on there that it will roll and whip. So about 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to select this zigzag that has the M, which means middle, so it's gonna zig and zag down the middle of the needle plate. I'm going to do my width, I'm going to do it about a 3.5, and I'm going to do my length at a 1. And what I want for it to do, I want my stitches to come right up to my straight stitch line and then off the edge of the fabric. So it's going to come up to the line and then off the fabric. And what it'll end up kind of doing is just pulling that fabric up, and it'll create a more finished edge there, so you won't have a raw edge and you won't have any fraying. I've gone ahead and dropped my needle right next to my straight stitch line, and that will hold my fabric and Entredeux in place. And then I just want to make sure I'll do my lock stitch that it goes off of the edge of the fabric and then right up to the edge of the Entredeux. Okay, so you may be able to see, but it's actually rolled the fabric up on the edge, so you have a nice, trying to see if I can get it to focus. Like a nice, pretty finished edge that will not unravel. So then I ironed it so that the seam is away from the Entredeux holes, because you don't want them to fill in the holes. You want to see those nice, pretty holes. And you've ironed the fabric away from the Entredeux as well.